Federal Unions of South Africa, Fedusa, has expressed its disappointment at Brian Molefe being nominated to become a Member of Parliament. The Union Federation has pointed out that Molefe's relationship with the controversial Gupta family was improper and says this appointment would open the door to Molefe's possible appointment to the National Executive either as a Minister or Deputy Minister of Finance, something it says could seriously destabilize the markets. Well, to explain its stance, we're joined in the studio by Fedusa's General Secretary, Dennis George. Mr. George, good morning and thank you very much for your time. Just from my understanding, first, just to set the context for me at the broader level, I mean, Fedusa, you are a very important social partner with government and business. You played a role recently, for instance, in the national minimum wage discussion. But I haven't seen you as a politically non-aligned trade union federation. I haven't heard from you a lot making statements around political appointments like an MP. Why at this time have you felt it necessary as Fedusa to speak out around a parliamentary appointment like Brian Molefe's?
You see, the whole issue from this thing, it didn't only start now. It started in 2015 on the 9th of December when the Minister of Finance was removed, and we saw what happened. And it was at that stage that government asked the social partners to come on board, and we formed Team South Africa, and we had to stabilize the economy, we had to stabilize the engagements with rating agencies. And it's precisely because of that there's been now a war that's going on inside the ANC itself. You know, the one grouping, everybody wants to take over national treasury. And everybody wants to be the finance minister in South Africa, you know, whether you qualified or whether you got credibility or whatever. But that is the big fight that's going on. And Fedusa is concerned, and we feel that it is very important that the Public Protector have made a pronouncement on Mr. Brian Molefe in a report. And that's not a court of law, but it's still very persuasive. And then Mr. Molefe decided he's going to resign. He was never asked to appear, the charges was laid against him, and all of a sudden now he's going to become an honorable Member of Parliament. I think it is critical for South Africa to have a government that is credible, the government that is strong, and a government that is ethical. And in this case, we're finding more and more unsavory characters ending up in Parliament. And that's not what people fought for in this country.
So you will be concerned as well about the integrity of Parliament?
Of course. I think, you know, I mean, our young children look and students look up and see what is happening in Parliament. And I think other elders have also spoken out, you know, that the way that we conduct ourselves. After 1994, South Africa was a nation where many people have looked up to, they had high expectations of, and we have squandered all the goodwill that we've had. And I think it is important for the social partners to speak out. And if we don't speak out, the mountains will speak out.
Now, don't you think that Brian Molefe's credentials and qualifications would stand him in good stead for a post in the Treasury, if he gets it?
What credentials? He's been with Transnet, and then the looting started there, and then it's been transferred from Transnet to Eskom. We know about the Kadera, a deal that was facilitated, our families benefited. I mean, these things, you know, and they had an opportunity. Why did he resign? Why did he resign? You said he resigned because of what? If it's too hot in the kitchen, why do you go into the kitchen in the first place? I think it is critically important that we must advance ethical leadership in business, in government, and in trade unions. Because, you know, people have lost trust in Parliament. People have lost trust in business people. If you look at the collusion of the banks, where they have now colluded because they want to enrich themselves. We need to rid our society and our businesses and our trade unions from unethical behavior.
We don't know yet whether Brian Molefe will be appointed into the Treasury. We are all making assumptions or speculation. It is, after all, the prerogative, constitutionally so, of the President, who he appoints into whatever cabinet post.
But the President is accountable to the people. This thing about the President is above this and about that. The President is accountable to the people.
No, what I was trying to ask is that, yes, I understand he's accountable, you're making the relevant point, but what is it about Brian Molefe being an MP that's making us assume, making you as a Fedusa rather, assume that he might be headed for the Treasury?
Look, the rumors that's going around, and you know, people are not just, you can see these things are orchestrated. If you look last time, Dexter Blance was nominated by the Northwest Province. You know, he came out from nowhere. There was the same thing happened with
Des van Rooyen.
Des van Rooyen. Then we had also the Minister of Mineral Resources. You know, he was nominated from Northwest. And all of a sudden he was placed in a position. Now in research, there is things like patterns, there's things like trends. And so as leadership, we can see the patterns and we can see the trends. And therefore we are warning against these particular things so that South Africa are not caught in an awkward situation.
Okay. You, very briefly, I mean, just listening to you now, you sound a bit angry that perhaps the ethics and the integrity of the institution like Parliament, like these processes are at risk here. Are you angry? Am I correct in reading that?
No, I'm not angry. I'm actually feel very, very pleased because I think, you know, last week during Parliament time, we signed the National Minimum Wage Agreement. I think that is a fantastic agreement because never again, and let me repeat, never again will employers decide unilaterally what is the minimum wage for people right at the bottom. That is an intervention that was made by the social partners because the social partners is deeply committed to eradicate poverty in our country, and that is the starting point for us.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Fedusa's General Secretary, Dennis George.